What's up? It is Cody from the Keepers of Nerdom. How are you all doing? I wanted to do something fun today for the first time ever and go into a Necron's tier list with you all today. I've got pulled up on another computer here some of the other data sheets for a few of them that I don't know as well, because some of this stuff is just trying to get a collection of Warhammer 40k is massive. But I wanted to have some fun and review some stuff with you and put them in a tier list with you all today. So we're just going to go in the order that's down here and have some fun with this. So the first thing we have right off the bat is the Annihilation Barge. The Annihilation Barge goes into our heavy support, and it's 120 points. I like the Gauss cannons, but that's an extra 5 points. So you're looking at 125, 8 wounds. So you could one-shot this with some of the big guns, but it does have quantum shielding, exploding, hovering. I think overall it's a decent enough thing. Let's start here with its B tier. It's got the ability of toughness 6. That's interesting. That is very interesting. It's just a little bit here. Yeah, I'd say B, but it might move down to C tier because I haven't ever had a desire to use it. It at least has 3 heavy shots with the Gauss cannons, but you're 125 points, so that's risky, right? With point cost, because the twin Tesla destructors and Tesla cannons just aren't good, and the Gauss cannon has a really short range. So I don't know. I think I'm actually gonna put it for myself C tier. So our next one that we have is the Death Marks. I have never personally used these. I've got the Immortals. I got a full set of 10, and I didn't build them as the Death Marks. I just didn't. I didn't feel like it was the case of something that I really wanted to use. I don't know. So let's go through that. Their gun is fantastic. They have a great stat line there, but they have very similar to the Immortals. They're only 13 points though, and the Immortals are now 15. I think 15 per pop. No, 16. And the only thing is, the Immortals can get 2 shots instead of just 1, but the Death Marks do have, if they roll a 6, they do get a mortal wound, but it's only 1 shot. I'll be honest, people say that these are really good, and I don't actually feel that they're amazing, but I think the Immortals have struggled lately as well. So we'll put them in B tier for now, and we'll go from there. Next thing we've got right here is our Doom Scythe. My model of this little Dimitri and all of his wonderful glory. I love having him because I got the combat patrol box, but then the rules changed, and he became a unit that sits on my shelf. At best, he's a B tier, probably more C tier, unfortunately, because the one thing he's missing is he does not have any quantum shielding or anything like that. He has a good gun because he has that same type of Gauss cannon as the Annihilation Barge, but it's got longer range, but he can't take objectives. So I think, yeah, C tier is a good spot. And now that they have to only come in on turn 2 and after, just tough. It just saddens my soul a bit. So the Catacomb Command Barge. All right, so this is an interestingly weird HQ because it's a vehicle and a combo here. Yeah, let's go through these. Catacomb Command Barge could get the Gauss Cannon for 5 extra points. Otherwise, it has Staff of Light and Tesla cannons. Interesting. But it's only 145 points, and it's got My Will Be Done, Quantum Shielding, Relentless March, Hovering, 9 wounds. I would say this is definitely at least a B tier, and I would say it's better than the Death Marks. It's a good solid thing. All right. Just this is really cool. It really is. So the next one, yeah, I just at some point I would love to have a Catacomb Command Barge. It's just hard because you can buy the cheaper guys and bring them along with other stuff. But this thing does have a 12-inch movement, 2+ weapon skill, ballistic skill. Not great weaponry. You could have a Staff of Light and a Gauss cannon, so you'd have two different types of shots. Yeah, I'd say it's B tier. Canoptic Doomstalker is our next thing, and unfortunately, it's in D tier, if not F tier. The reason being is that it's never stayed up to date with everything else going on. So that's the really unfortunate thing with it, is it just doesn't work very well at this point. It's still 130 points. It has a heavy D6 shot, so you can shoot once or 6 times. It's just not good. It does have a 4-up invuln, and that's nice, but too expensive. It has 12 wounds, but it's pretty easy to hit in a lot of ways, because in order to get the 48-inch range on its big weaponry, it does have twin Gauss flares, but those aren't very good weaponry. You have to stay stationary, and it's a blast weapon. So at the very least, it's D tier. All right, we have... Oh my goodness, I can't remember his name. What is his name? Is that Ankrir the Traveler? I am drawing a blank. All right, whoop, my bad. All right, let's keep going here. Yeah, we'll just... The unfortunate thing with so many of these guys, I think that is Ankrir the Traveler. He is an interesting one. Let me check real quick. Traveler. Yep, it is Ankrir the Traveler. Okay, I got it right. So that's good. Okay, so these are some of the pieces I've never bought because they only go in certain spots. He is interesting because he can shoot from vehicles. At best, I'd say he's C tier because he's 130 points. He's 130. It's just too expensive. Just too expensive. Not a fan, and I never wanted to get him, even though I like his looks. I would love to have him just for the concept of design. All right, we got our Scorpec Destroyers. Scorpec Destroyers. Got them, several of them. I got a full set of 6, and I used to have 2 plasma sights for them, and I still have a second plasma sight now because of other reasons. But the unfortunate thing is they're slow. They only have 8-inch movement. They hit like trucks, but they have very little defensive powers. So ironically, they are a C tier close combat stuff, just not a fan of them. And it really stinks because there's just stuff that people have recommended to me that are better. Catan Shard of the Deceiver. Haven't used him yet because he just doesn't appear very good. He just kind of falls in this not as good as the other ones. And when I say that, it's not that he's bad. It's more that he's just not as good as some of the other guys. Yeah, he's just not as good as just the regular Catan Shard because they're cheaper. And then you've got the Void Dragon, who's better than him. And then you have Nightbringer, who is just better than everybody's, all the Catan Shards. So that's what I know. All right. So we come to the Annihilation Barge. Man, this one's tough because I actually really like this vehicle. It's got some good stuff here. Unfortunately, it still is suffering from the heavy, the D6 shots. And when you roll that 6, it's awesome, and it's going to do some good work for you. And it's got Gauss flares on the sides of it, which is cool. So extra guns, but they need to fix that in 10th edition, right? And so it's a C tier at best, which is just sad. So, we'll just a little bit because Dimitri, I don't know. Dimitri just sads. The one thing I'll say about Dimitri, the Doom Scythe, is you can shoot it from just about everywhere because it's so big and it's an aircraft. So flayed ones are a melee nightmare, and from what I understand, they are really, really good. They're just so expensive in the real world that I have not gotten a hold of them. My understanding is they are A tier if you build around them and totally go headfirst into them, and I would definitely agree with that. Okay, so Locust Heavy Destroyers. We're going to put these up here for now for A tier. They are really, really cool. The only thing I hate about them is they only have one shot when you actually use the correct weapon on them. I've actually used this weapon that's shown here on some of my tomb blades just for fun and magnetize them just because I wanted something to look cool. But they only get one shot with their big weaponry, but if you can hit, I mean, they're going to devastate everything, and maybe in the new 10th edition, they're going to be even more epic, but right now they are A tier because you can hide them into Locust Destroyer groups. So let's just, I would dare say Locust Destroyers may be S tier because they are a perfect thing with the weapon that I typically use on them. I just leaps and bounds. Hexmark's Destroyers with the pistols, they're a hunter unit. Against certain things they're fantastic, against other things they're lame. So I just put them at B tier, that you could use them and they could go to A tier really easily if they're actually being used, say, against orcs or tyranids, something with a low defense. Cool, they're awesome. If not, they're going to suffer, right? They're just not going to do well. I can't remember his name. Illuminor Xeris. Okay, he's 145 points. He is a dynastic agent, so we can just go into it. I think he is a really cool unit here. The Rites of Reanimation, 1 additional time. So he is a Technomancer on steroids. You know what? I think he is at least top of B, maybe even into A tier. I just think Technomancer's cheaper, so you can get more use, and you could have 2 Technomancers and, go a little over his point cost, but still. All right, Immortals. So everybody's just saying Immortals are done, they're over. The one thing I'll still say is you could take 5 Immortals and hold a backline objective. That's where it's useful, right? This, I would dare say they're above Deathmarks for sure. They're in B tier. They are. I still like them. I still like their fire because people don't deal with them, and it's like, oh, it's only a 5 squad, and so they want to deal with something bigger, and so then they don't actually mess with them necessarily. So, yeah, it's one of those interesting just pieces of it. I think they're still B tier. They're not A tier like they may have been before, but yeah. Imatech the Stormlord. He is a Saw Tech, so unfortunately, just because of being limited to one group, he just kind of goes down in here into D tier, and that stinks because he's got some really cool abilities, but unfortunately, being stuck in that Saw Tech dynasty really hurts him. Just not a fan. Fitting Destroyers. I'm getting ready to try these things, and I'm excited because I think they are probably at the top of B tier, if not A tier. I think we're going to put them in A because they have the same weapons as a Scorpex. They move 2 inches faster, and they are pretty just devastating on their abilities, right, to do things. Pretty epic there. Yeah, these are pretty good. I'm gonna try to go through as fast as we can with some of these. Oh, my bad. So yeah, I think the Ophidian Destroyers are an A tier, and I'm excited to try them and see. They don't have good defenses necessarily, but they move. That extra 2 inches does help. And they actually get some bonus weapons as well. You might have to buff them a little bit more than the Scorpec Destroyers, but they can actually get to their targets more effectively. And they do get like a -1 to hit them in melee. So that's cool. Chronomancer. Yeah. Chronomancer goes here. Period. They 5-up invuln save, reroll charge rolls on the target that they have. We'll see what 10th edition does to them. It's going to be awesome. The Lord, I would say, is pretty easily at least an A tier HQ. I haven't gotten a hold of one just yet because I've got an Overlord, but at the very least it's got the Lord's Will, can reroll a hit roll of 1, and Relentless March, and you can take the Resurrection Orb. So obviously an A tier thing that's good support. Triarch Praetorians, is that what we're going on here? Let me see. Nope, that's the Lich Guard. Okay, Lich Guard also I would say are now A tier with what they can do with the Monolith and the defenses that they have. The 4-up invuln save is fantastic, as well as, speaking of which, the Monolith goes right up here as well. Great weaponry. The Death Rays are now free. They're fantastic. They're strong. They're devastating. It's disgusting, right? This is good stuff. So we continue on here. The bucket heads, I would love to see these. They're at least, B tier unit. Definitely good for just putting in to support a small thing. They're nothing crazy or anything, but they do have, let's put them down there. Yeah. Night Scythe. I have not used that because I like the Doom Scythe itself, but for teleportation and dropping some warriors out, I think it's pretty awesome. And some of the teleportation fun, it definitely still goes up here with just some useful antics. Nightbringer. Oh, yeah. If you haven't used a Nightbringer, use a Nightbringer. Nightbringer is ridiculous. This thing, it just sucks. Okay, that's the obelisk. It's bad. All right, another one of the leaders. I don't know who that is. Who is that? Nimisor Zandric, maybe? Let me see. Nimisor Zandric. Zandric. Okay, let's see. Is this him? If not, we'll move on. It's not Nimisor Zandric. Nimisor Zandric looks like this guy. And Nimisor Zandric is again tied into Sawtech. So he just goes here for now. We might evaluate those a little further in the future. I'm sorry, I don't know all the specific names because I looked through them a while back when I first started playing and just realized that these are things that you don't care about unless you're building specific. And then you just go, no, it's pointless to have them unless you want a specific build right now, which really stinks. The next one is Trazyn the Infinite. It's that I found Trazyn the Infinite. It's also, he's Dynastic Agent. No, he bad. He down here. Trazyn the Infinite. Not good. Vargard Oberyn. Vargard Oberyn. Okay, so we still haven't found this guy right here. Let's see. Vargard Oberyn right here. Got it. And he is with Sawtech as well. Ugh. Stop giving us Sawtech. It's not a good one. I don't want it. I just put him there for now. We might evaluate them further in the future. So we've got like one name left. We've got to Orkin the Diviner. That's probably who he is. That's what he looks like. Orkin the Diviner. Yep, that's him. Okay. Orkin the Diviner. I apologize that I don't know some of these because I looked at them at points and just went, eh. So he's a Dynastic Agent. So he's got some ability. He's a Chronomancer. So he can do the things that a Chronomancer can, and also gets to fight first in engagement, which is kind of interesting. The Staff of Tomorrow is pretty good. 2 attacks or 4 attacks. Yeah, he gets empowered. He's okay. I'd say he's probably bottom of C tier. We've got the Overlord. I am all about this thing. He is my jam. He is awesome. Just use them. They're so good. The Plasma Sight. The Plasma Sight is something very bizarre. I think at best he's a C tier thing at best. Next thing we've got, I believe, is the Plasmancer. Not a fan. They just go down here. They're not good. Trier Praetorians, they don't get a lot of boosts and benefits from a lot of things, and so they're just they move fast. So I'll give them that. So I'll put them above Plasma Sights. Is this the Psychomancer? I believe so. And again, he kind of goes down here. They have good abilities-ish, but they're just not as good as the other things. Reanimator, Canoptic Reanimator, meh, lame. Royal Warden. This might be a thing that shocks people, but I am all about the Royal Warden. He is an A tier inclusion. The ability to fall back, like to give something else the ability to fall back and then shoot, fantastic. Great stuff. Scorpec Lord. I'd say at best he's C tier. He exists. I'm not a huge fan one way or the other. Yep, that's definitely my thoughts on him. Canoptic Spiders. I have not gotten to use these yet, but they seem like every bit of A tier, especially with Scarabs They are fantastic. They are crazy sauce. Yeah. So Tesseract Vault, from everything I have seen, it is at the very least a B tier unit. Pretty solid if you want to get some powers, but not gonna knock anybody's socks off. Silent King. Silent King, I think it's a pretty easy knowledge base of where he goes. He is an S tier. He is super strong. He's crazy. The only thing is he can't hide. Yeah. Next one is the Scarab Swarms. Scarab Swarms are interesting because they do something fascinating, right? They just block. They have 4 wounds apiece. I'm going to just put them in A tier. I don't think they're really as S tier epic as everybody says they are, just because they don't do much else than just take hits, but they do take hits, and they take hits very well. And it is really satisfying when 1 or 2 come back to life when you have a group of 9 of them. That's cool, right? That's some good stuff. Next thing is our Technomancer, and once again, I'd say this is S tier as well. Resurrection stuff is just so powerful, right? So powerful. Just moving on. The Locust Lord, I believe. He just seems a little too expensive, so I'm gonna put him down here. I just not felt that he is the right thing to use for a lot of things. Let's keep moving. The Void Dragon. I would love to get one of these someday. Someday we will. I think he's an A tier for sure. He's very good, but I also think, let's go with the other Catan Shard. Like, it's probably above him, right? Catan Shard is above him, just because of cheap access to powers. And yeah, let's put him right there. Next up, Triarch Stalker. I'm wanting to 3D print one of these things because I think they are easily an A tier type of weapon that's pretty cheap for a pretty epic Triarch Stalker. Where is it? Triarch Stalker. There we go. 110 points. If you go to the Heat Ray, it's 115. Or 125 if you take the twin heavy Gauss cannons. And just something pretty epic there. So the next little things here is last little things. Tomb Blades. I think they are an A tier unit because they are so cheap, they are effective, and they bring to bear some awesome weaponry. Canoptic Wraiths. Also, honestly, I think so far from what I've used of them, they're almost an S tier. Let's say top of A tier, because they have a 4-up invuln save. They have a lot of wounds. They do a lot of damage. They don't hit very consistently, but if you buff them at all, they're just going to knock everything out. And last but certainly not least are Necron Warriors, which I think are really an S tier unit as they've dropped in price point. I think it was 13 points down to 11. And that just makes them so much more useful, and going with a Chronomancer or even a Royal Warden just really changes everything for them. They don't have a great range for their weapon, but it doesn't really matter when you take the better, toughness or strength 5 weaponry. This is just one of those weird things to think about as far as the usefulness. I'm all about using the Gauss Reaper on them, teleporting them with a Veil of Darkness, and just letting them tear into stuff and also take points. And there's so many bodies that it's not that it's hard to knock them out, because a concentrated fire in a round could destroy them. But if you can get that 5-up invuln save on them with the Chronomancer, you've got something special, right? These are fantastic units. So let me know in the comments below, do you agree with my rankings? Obviously, I still would like to learn a little bit further about some of these named characters. I've read through them a long time ago, but just dismissed them because it went, okay, they're limited to certain things and they got cool abilities, but they're so expensive and also literally physically expensive to get a hold of, that I was like, yeah, I'm good. So let me know down in the comments below what you think of this ranking. And I've been Cody from the Keepers of Nerddom. Have a good day. Bye.